One more.
This gentleman had his hand up for a while.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody up here. It's been really informational. We talk a lot about early stage, and I think that encompasses a huge range of companies. I get to work with a lot of startups, and I find that the ones that it's not even so much about your background, sometimes as it is the area that you grew up in and your economic status. And what happens there is founders who are great, but they don't have friends and family to give them a $50,000 or $100,000 friends and family round, aren't able to get to that next step. So for the really early guys who don't have those networks, that initial, sometimes it's just 10K, 25K to like push, what can they do? Because they're not going to get looked at by even Miami Angels, which is a little bit above that. I know 500 isn't quite yet putting funds into Miami, I think. So where do those guys go when they don't have those friends and family, they don't have those connections to raise that initial money, and they're just like, hey, I know that I can do it, I just need a little bit of help. What do you recommend for them?
Can I add something to that? Because I think it's a good crowdfunding question as well. So like when preparing to do an equity crowd investing raise, how should I think about getting my community ready to participate? Because no crowdfunding company is going to crowd investing company will step up to provide the investors unless we bring them to the table first, and then the crowd gets excited by the momentum building, number one. And then number two, someone asked a question earlier about the difference between investing in men and women. What have you seen in terms of the difference on the amount of effort that goes into a women's crowdfunding campaign, a women-led crowdfunding campaign, versus a man or men's-led campaign?
Yeah, great question. So I think to kind of address, like, if you don't have any means within your network to raise any capital at all, I think traditional crowdfunding platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo are really great places, because what you can do is you can sell people on the vision of what you're trying to build. So if you literally have $1 and a dream, that's a great place to start. You can come with some marketing material, and you can kind of like pitch people and get people who are buying in and donating because they just believe in what you're trying to get off the ground. But you know, may or may not potentially ever kind of see that money ever again. I think for crowd investment platforms like Republic, we do have an angel investor base who is investing because they want to see a return. So the threshold and the bar is a little bit higher. But like Boris kind of touched on, really kind of like galvanizing the community and kind of gauging their interest in, seeing you get off the ground and seeing you succeed is a great way to kind of figure out, can I leverage people? Like, would they be interested in investing in me if I were to get this off the ground? I think that's a great way to, kind of pull those initial kind of like funds of capital when you're talking about check sizes within like the 25K to say like 150K range. In terms of the success that we have seen between female and male founders on the platform, surprisingly we've seen, or not surprisingly I would say, we've seen a tremendous amount of success from the female founders who are raising on the platform. Last year, 40% of all investment dollars that went through Republic went to female founding companies, because I think there's probably a variety of different reasons why they've seen success, but I think it comes down to a couple of things. One, women tend to be better communicators and are able to kind of sell the story of the mission and what they're trying to build a little bit better. And then sometimes, and I don't want to get on the fellas in the room a little too much, but I think women tend to be willing to do the work a little bit more in terms of like, if it's sending out emails, sending out those emails, if it's making the calls, making those calls, like they're willing to do the work to get their community involved and to kind of like back them and believe in the story. And so not to say that, men don't do that, but I think women are really, really great at communicating and galvanizing and getting people to support a mission. So at Republic, like our whole entire mission is kind of democratize access to the private markets for both investors and founders alike. And so we continue to support the mission of investing in female founders, minority founders, and giving them that access.